Hey class, for your Unit 2 discussion this week, you'll be working on graphical displays and actually combining your knowledge from Unit 1, where you calculated summary statistics, and combine that with your new knowledge this week on graphical displays, and look at a data set where you'll be comparing three groups. So you'll be using StatKey, which comes along with your Wiley Plus program. You'll be using that to do your graphs and your summary statistic calculations. But when you use StatKey, in order to upload a file, you need to upload a CSV file rather than a regular Excel file. So I'm going to actually walk you through a sample of what the discussion will be like, just to make sure that you understand how you need to save things, how to generate your data sets, and also how to use your snipping tool again so that you can save the images and get them uploaded properly in your discussion. All right, so when you go into the discussion this week, you are already provided with an Excel file. Okay, so the Excel file, the discussion file, when you open it, will look like this. You'll want to notice that if you scroll down, you've got IQs, which is your quantitative variable, but the IQs correspond with three different groups. So column B will show you what group the IQs correspond with. So you've got group A, group B, and group C. You can see that they're color coded. And you've got a set of IQs in each group. Your goal will be to compare the IQs in the three groups by using summary statistics such as the mean, median, standard deviation, and so forth that you learned last week, along with by using the graphical displays. You'll be making a comparison. So first thing you'll want to do in this discussion Excel workbook is type your first name in the green box below. It will tell you to do that. Then press enter, and that should generate new IQ values just like you learned last week. Then remember, you are going to have to use paste special and open up a new Excel workbook, and that will be the workbook that you attach with your discussion post. So I'm getting ready to remind you how to do a paste special. And then also something new is I'm going to show you how to save it as a CSV file so that you can then upload it into the StatKey program. All right, so I'm going to come here, type my first name, press enter, and you'll notice that the IQs changed. In order to keep these stable numbers where they won't keep changing, we are actually going to click our mouse over and highlight both column A and B and scroll all the way down to the very bottom after you get the last IQ for group C. And I'm going to do a Control C to copy. Then I'm going to open up a brand new Excel workbook. And while cell A1 is highlighted, which is where I want it to be, I'm going to click up here and go to Paste Special and come click the radio button that says Values and Number Formats. Remember, throughout this course, as you generate random data, you will always have to do this to make sure that it keeps your values the same and doesn't keep changing them. So values and number formats, I'll click OK. And you'll see that the IQs that you had already generated did not change, and they are now here stable. They won't change anymore now that you've got them paste special into a new workbook. You can scroll down and see it's got all three groups, groups A, B, and C. It did not bring over the color coding, but that's expected. There's nothing wrong that it's done, so just expect that you will not get the same color coding that you had in the original workbook. Okay, now this is a regular Excel workbook. What I'm getting ready to show you how to do is save it as a CSV file so that StatKey will allow you to upload it. It's not hard to do. I'm just going to come up here and click File, Save As, and you're going to put it wherever you want to. I mean, you probably have an MM570 folder. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in my desktop so that it's easy for me to access during this video, but you put it where it's most meaningful for you. And I'm going to give it the file name Unit 2 Discussion Data Set. You can call it whatever you need to, but here's what's most important. Save as type. Notice it's got it automatically saved as an Excel workbook file. I need to come over here, click the drop down, and go down to where it says CSV, delimited. Now notice there are other CSV types of files. There's a CSV UTF-8 and a CSV Mac, CSV MS-DOS, and some other things. Make sure you save it as a CSV, delimited right here. So I'm going to click on that, and notice it did change the file type that it's being saved as. And then I will go ahead and click save, and it's going to save that in my desktop. Okay. Now at this point, you are going to be ready to upload this CSV file into StatKey, which you can either access through your Wiley Plus program, or I'll always include the website that it's easy, just as easy to access even through the website. So I will show you that we can just go to StatKey. There's the link for that. And here's what StatKey will first look like when you get in there. For this Unit 2 discussion, realize that your CSV file that you saved has one quantitative variable, which is IQ, and one categorical variable, which is the group name. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you get in here is click where it says one quantitative and one categorical variable. The program will automatically calculate descriptive statistics and do the graphs that you need. So once you get in there, it's going to be really easy to get the information that you need. So one quantitative and one categorical, I'm clicking on that. All right, so when you get in there, it's going to already have dot plots, and you might wonder, what in the world, where did this come from? This is automatically in there just through the program. So this is not the data that we will be using. In order to get StatKey to give the appropriate information for your data set, you've got to upload a file. So once you get to this screen, you're going to come up here to upload file, and notice it says even file should be CSV or text file. Well, we've already got a CSV file saved. So I'm going to click upload file. You're going to go find it where you need to. I've got mine in my desktop under Unit 2 discussion data set. So I'm going to go find that. Notice it's a CSV file. Click on that, and it will bring up this pop-up. This is your actual CSV data set. So please select, it says, one quantitative variable first and then a categorical. So the quantitative is the IQ column. That means we're going to want to take our mouse and click right up here in the column heading that says IQ. Click, and it should highlight the IQs in the same color as it wanted your quantitative variable. And then come over here and select the column that says group. Click your mouse there. It puts those in the same color as it corresponds up here where it says categorical variable. Once those two columns are highlighted in these appropriate colors, you will click OK. And now StatKey has actually done the summary statistics automatically for you. Look over here to the right. Here's column A's descriptive statistics. You've got your mean, your standard deviation, minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and max. So there's your 5-number summary right there. And it has it for Group A, Group B, and Group C, which is going to make it easy to compare the three groups. And you'll be talking about comparing the means and comparing the variation using the standard deviations. So you can easily tell which groups have the lower means, which groups have the higher means, and similarly for the standard deviations. And you'll want to make sure you understand what those numbers are telling you and be able to talk about it in the discussion. Along with using these summary statistics, you are going to want to use the graphs to also help you make your comparison. And so therefore, you are going to want to insert images for the summary statistics table as well as 3 graphs. And since IQ is a quantitative variable, the 3 graphs you will be doing are dot plots, histograms, and box plots. And notice they've got the tabs for each one of them up here. So this is where your snipping tool is going to come in. So you will come down here and type search snipping tool, or you may already have it saved on your tray. So snipping tool, as soon as I start typing snip in the search box, it brings it up. I'll click on this. I'll click new. And the first thing I'm going to actually do is come over here and get the summary statistics table. Now, if you want to save everything as a separate image, then you can go ahead and just highlight this and click File and save it as an image. But I'm going to actually combine some of these snips and put maybe 2 snips as one image. So if you want to do it this way, it just saves you from having to keep inserting images 4 different times. I'm going to only have to do it 2 different times. So I am actually going to come up here and press Edit and Copy. And what I'm going to do is take this snip of the summary statistics table, and I'm going to open up a Word doc, a blank Word doc. And since I copied the image instead of saving it, then I'm going to do a Control-V paste. And there is my summary statistics in a Word doc, though. And right underneath it, I'm going to put my dot plot. So I'm going back to StatKey. And here's the dot plot. Now, one thing you want to make sure of is that you get these names of the group included in your image. Notice the C, B, and A over here to the left. There's a lot of empty white space in this dot plot, which I'm not going to include that in my snip just because it's not meaningful. It's not giving me any new information. And it will make my, my image much smaller and not take up so much space in the response box. So I'm going back to the snipping tool, back to clicking on New, and I am going to actually come over here far enough to the left where it's going to capture the letters of the groups. It's also going to capture the numbers on my horizontal axis, and that is where I'm going to snip it right here. And I'm going to also click Edit Copy so that I can go back to my Word doc and just Control-V paste. And there's my dot plot. If you want to stretch it out a little bit because it's fairly small, that's okay. Just try not to distort the image. And so there's our dot plot, which is one of the graphs you'll want to include. But the reason I did this is because now I can save it as one image and actually include both of these in that image. So I am now going to use the snipping tool yet again. Click New. And I'm going to actually now include both of these as my first image that I'm going to save. And that way, when I insert the image in my response box, it's got both of these together. I'm not having to do so many separate image insertions. So I'm going to click snip this. But this time when I do, I'm going to actually File, Save As, and I'm going to save it in my desktop and put just file name, maybe Unit 2 Discussion Image 1. And I put that simply because I'm going to have another image that has my histogram and box plots in it. Save that. And now I'm ready to go back and generate my the other graphs. So I'm back in StatKey. To generate the other graphs, very easy. You're just going to come up here and click on the different tabs. So now I'm going to generate a histogram, one for each of the 3 groups by clicking the histogram tab, and that's how easy it is. So, you know, you're going to want to be noticing similarities and differences between these 3 groups using the calculations as well as using the graphs. You know, note things like where the data tends to be clustered. Well, it looks at a similar place for all 3 groups. You know, you might want to talk about which one appears to be more spread out, and of course that can be complemented with your looking at your standard deviation. And we can tell from this that it looks like group C has the higher standard deviation and is thus showing up a little bit more spread than group A. Sorry, up here. Group C, be careful about the letters are going backwards. So group C up here in the green is a little more spread out than group A down here at the bottom. That's because you see A is a little more clustered than the green group up here, group C. But this is how you combine your numbers that you get along with the graphs to help you make sense out of why these standard deviation numbers are the way they are. And, you know, you will want to talk about clusters and gaps and these sort of things in your discussion this week. So I'm going to take the histogram, go back to my snipping tool, click New, and once again, make sure you're far enough over here on the left so that you can get the group names in the image so that we who are reading your post can definitely tell which graph goes with group C, which graph goes with group B, and so forth. So I'm going to cut it off there. And again, I'm going to actually just edit, copy, and go back to my Word doc so that I can put it along with the box plots and not have so many separate images. So I'm going back to my Word doc. I'm going to scroll down to a new page. Scroll down to a new page on my Word doc, and I'm going to go Control V to paste my histogram. And again, notice I've got the letters included there. Along with this snip, I'm going to go back to StatKey. I'm going to change the tab up here now to box plot. And there are my box plots for the three groups. So we can now tell that there are some differences showing up, maybe a little more clearly in the box plot than we saw with the histogram. Well, that's because the histogram tends to group things depending on how many bars you want, that sort of thing. So we are going to now snip this. Click New. Make sure you get far enough over to the left to get the group letters, get the numbers on the horizontal axis, and snip right here, edit, copy, and back to my Word doc. So that I'm going to now Control V, and when I maximize this, I'm getting ready to make both the histogram and the box plots in one image. So that I'm going to go back and use my snipping tool. Click New. And now I'm going to actually capture both of these in the same image. It just keeps me, when I get ready to go put all this stuff in my response box, from having to do so many separate insert images. So I've got that, but I'm going to now save it. File, Save As, Unit 2, Discussion Image 2. So I'm only going to really be uploading in the response box 2 different images because I combined them. Save that. And at this point, you would be ready to go to your discussion response box, type up your answer, get it all written out and ready. And then you're ready to go ahead and just type it directly into the response box and insert these images so that we already see them as we're reading your response. It saves us from having to download an attachment and so forth. Now, as always, when you are generating your random data sets in this course, you will want to attach, in this discussion, your CSV file. And make sure it's your CSV file that you save so that it's easy for me and your classmates to upload it quickly into StatKey and check your work. But make sure you attach the CSV file, not your original Excel file. Remember, you had Paste Special and saved it as a CSV file. That will be the one that you attach. Otherwise, these images should already be built into your response box rather than attached. So it's easy for us to read everything all at once without clicking back and forth and downloading. Hopefully that'll do it. Just reach out if you've got questions this week, but this will hopefully help you through just the technical aspects of saving as a CSV and uploading into StatKey.